Are we ready to do this? Hi there and welcome to my channel. My name is Hein and I'm here for one reason, to share my story with you. Now you may wonder, why am I doing this and what makes me special? And the answer is simple, absolutely nothing. Not a celebrity or a guru or an influencer of any kind. I'm just a man who thought to share stories from his life with the hope that it could be a source of light and inspiration, if you will, for someone, anyone out there. Yes, I know our journeys are not the same and everyone has their own issues. But somewhere, something lines up. Somewhere down the road, a tidbit, a tiny little bit of information could shed some light. And given the current status of the world we're currently living in, I thought it time to be a little bit more real and open with one another. Pandemic, economic devastation, cultural rivalries, unprecedented natural disasters. The list just keeps on growing, and we are scared what the future will hold. Still, amidst all this chaos, we as people, as individuals, are trying to navigate the daily existence, and finding our place in this world has become even a greater challenge than before. And reinvention has been forced upon everyone. Yet our core remains the same, our humanity. The fight for survival, for equality, to belong. Growing up in a small city in the Free State, in the center of South Africa, and being raised by a conservative, not to mention overprotective family, you can imagine the barriers, the limitations. Still, it holds no candle to the true stories of inspiration in the world, where impossible odds were smashed and tremendous victories prevailed. I do not want to claim my journey as such, not at all. After high school, that was 15 years ago, I was somehow fortunate enough to get a job as a gallery assistant in a small tourist town 50 kilometers away from home. It's in that little small town that my life started, or as the kids these days say, I started adulting. It makes me feel so old, and perhaps the grey hair agrees. But for 8 years I worked with international tourists, vacationers, pensioners, families, basically strangers. And what I learned was that everyone has the same baseline coded into the fabric of their existence: human. Color, language, nationality, country, sexuality, money, these were only the fabric that dressed each doll. Deep realizations that wouldn't become clear until years later. In 2014, I left that little town and my hometown, and together with my mother, we journeyed to a new beginning, following tragedy. That is how we ended up in the Western Cape, where our new lives were supposed to begin. Needless to say, 7 months later, we found ourselves driving from the scenic garden route back to the dusty Free State. So much has happened in those few months, and even more in the past 5 years since then. I went from assistant gallery manager to personal assistant in a deli onto being a graphic designer. And you would think that's a lot of change in 4 years. But since I've been back, I worked as interim event coordinator, freelance painter, unemployed for months in between, waiter, promoted to bartender before running the kitchen at the local B&B, got fired, and then started as a restaurant manager at a well-established eatery. Then, 2 years ago, I quit my job. 2 reasons: exhaustion, and somebody had to take care of my grandmother. And that is how I ended up here. I had jobs and was unemployed. I had money, but not enough. I made new friends, and old ones moved on. I saw the miracle of birth and cried at open graves. Tried to start a business and failed more than once. I cared and cared until I couldn't feel anymore. I loved and lost. Long story short, these past 5 years was a roller coaster ride. The only good thing that came from it, it makes for good stories. You either laugh or cry, enjoy it or not. However, I hope it can offer inspiration for someone, anyone out there. So why this channel now? Honestly, for my sanity. Last year, Grand's health took a turn towards what I now know to be a long decline. She slowly became more dependent to the point where she's completely immobile, leaving me having to feed her, dress her, change her. I will spare you the gory details, but in essence, taking care of a dying infant. And the emotional toll it takes is indescribable. It's harsh, but it's the truth. You can't explain it to someone. I have a newfound respect for people in the caregiving industry and anyone who gets dragged face first through this prolonged deathbed saga. So in January I started to tinker with the idea of a channel before our reality went to hell, and in the spirit of honesty, it was dark and depressing times. None of which is any better, but before I go completely insane, here I am. That's why I started Kardia Squared. Inspired from the Greek word kardia, which means heart, I would like to have a good and honest heart-to-heart, using personal experiences and lessons learned to hopefully inspire you as the viewer. Personally, I don't feel comfortable in front of the camera, and it's difficult for me to drum up a series of entertainment. But I hope to create a satisfying space across the oceans, from my window to yours. Perhaps some cooking inserts, DIY or gardening, who knows? Let's see what happens. I do not have a clear plan, and some of you can relate. All I ask is to bear with me on this journey as we discuss life, love and lies, the circle of our existence. If that is something you're into, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to ring the bell for new videos each week. I leave you with this thought. As each drop eventually fills a bucket, so we as individuals make up the inhabitants of this planet. Anything starts or ends with me and with you, and together we can make a difference. Let's make it a memorable journey. Eyes on